Welcome to the Primitive Lifeways channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about wild food processing and the tools used in order to make wild foods edible. So stick around, I'll be right back with you. All right, folks, so I want to welcome you back. And as you can see, we have a wide variety of different stone tools and implements we use for basic outdoor living tasks as well as food processing. Stone tools like these were also very important to Native people. They would use them for food processing, they would use them to process pigments, clay, so forth and so on. So they were heavily relied upon and they were heavily used, especially out in the West Coast and in the Southwest. They're very common and lots of them pop up in the archaeological record. I want to cover each one individually, but I want to first of all cover what we have in this middle tin. We have just a bunch of acorns, everything from Pasadena live oak to coast live oak, some of the smaller ones, we have shrub oak. All of them are edible as long as we process them, but the reason they're amongst these stone implements is because of how important they were to Native people. Acorns have fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. So for a hungry hunter, this source was absolutely a necessity to some of the coastal tribes as well as to some of the southwestern tribes. Anytime they can collect, anytime they can gather, they did so, and they did so respectfully by honoring and thanking the land, as we should as well. So what you would do is you would take an acorn and you would crack it open. You would grind it down in a mortar using your pestle into a coarse meal, as you see we have here in this Mochahete. And then from your coarse meal, you would transfer that over to a Metate and Mono, and you would grind that down even finer into a real fine powder. And then you would strain it. So it's very important to strain it because as the acorn sits right now, we can't eat it. It has tannic acid in it. Tannic acid, when it's consumed, it can cause an upset stomach, possibly vomiting, diarrhea. So it's important to process them correctly, and then, of course, consume and give thanks to the land that you took from. So I want to cover each tool individually, and we'll start off with the larger mortar and pestle here. You can see we have a nice deep concavity. I use this predominantly for grinding mesquite pods and heavier grain. We have a nice heavy pestle, so I put a lot of force behind it and it does quite well. I just get a lot more weight in this pestle compared to some of the other implements. But once I have a coarse grain, I'll take that over to this Metate and Mono that I made. We have a nice concavity here. We ground this down quite a bit. We also have a nice surface polish. We impregnated the top with vegetable material, and I use this quite often. The only thing that I really should replace is this Mono. It's starting to get chipped up and looking a little bit rough there. No worries, I'll grab another river stone and we'll grind that down. Then we have this Metate, and we have a nice little Mono here. Fits nice in the hand. I use this for processing clay. You can see we have a nice gradual bend and it kind of slopes off to the left here. So I'll throw the clay on, I'll grind that down, kick it off into a rag, and we'll process that clay and start straining it. Then we have a Mochahete here with a small pestle. I use this for grinding softer seeds such as acorn. I use it for chia seeds, pine nuts, so forth and so on. Have a little bit of our acorn flour still in there, although the birds have been getting to it. That's all right. They need food too. And then I have a smaller mortar and pestle here. You can see this is really small in shape. I use this for processing pigment, red ochre, limonite, hematite. We have a nice stain on that, and that stain is really impregnated into the stone after years of using it. And then we have our last tool here, and You can see it's not quite done yet. I started this about 1.5 years ago at the museum in California, and I just recently started it up again, and I'm going to really start chipping away at this to knock this out, and eventually it will become very deep like this one here, and we can use this one for processing a heavier grain. But again, you can see that nice little depression here. It's going to take some time, but again, primitive skills do take time, and it really humbles you. So this thing should turn out quite unique. All right, folks, so that's just about going to wrap this one up. You know, these tools should be strongly considered in the outdoorsman's base camp. They come in so handy, and they're so fun to use. For more about mortars and pestles, I would highly recommend checking out Paul Campbell's book. This is Survival Skills of Native California. He covers each tool quite extensively. So with that, I do appreciate you joining me for this video. I'm Jeff with PrimitiveLifeways.com. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.